All right, this is something I've been reluctant to do, just like I've always been reluctant to do clear film, right? Putting protection to protect the protection has always been something I've railed against, right? And so today is going to be a new product that I learned about. I learned about it at the G-Technic Summit. You weren't there, were you?
I wasn't personally, but actually our lead detailer was up there at the event.
This is Pete from Tint World. I don't know how I never found this shop. Like, this is like my place. Like, everything's clean and organized and neat. I love this. Stereo. You guys do PPF.
Yeah, we're called Tint World, but we do pretty much anything you could ever want to add on to your car aftermarket. I mean, we're all car guys here. We love working on cars, and we do. I mean, we do cars, we do boats, we do off-road vehicles, a little bit of everything. So on any given day, it's you never know what we're going to be working on in here.
There's a couple of Vipers over there. There's a boat out back there. There was a pool guy's truck. You were doing dark tint on it. That's pretty sweet.
We do that. We do the vinyl graphics on a lot of business vehicles. I mean, pretty much a little bit of everything.
So I met the Alchemy guys, and the thing that gets me excited, I immediately connected with them. I don't know if they're engineers or engineering dropouts or engineering grads, but they remind me of me, right? They're a bunch of nerds, probably a little smarter than I am, and they built this product that the world needs, right, that I think should exist. And you and I talked kind of offline a little bit about some of the other products. You've done them all, right? So you've done, we won't mention the names of the products, but there's other products out there that protect the windshield. But I've always been reluctant to do it because the processes are really hard to deal with, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, so the thing that we found, and we've installed, there are 2 other products on the market. We've installed both of those, and we even were an authorized dealer for one of them for a while, but we just, we stopped, and we got out of the category entirely because the products just weren't performing.
Yeah.
And we found that the products that were on the market already to protect your windshield, they weren't really designed for that. They were these were window tinting companies who came up with a product, and I mean, my personal opinion is what I think they did is they took kind of like a security film type product that would often be used to protect building windows and things like that, and they tailored it and made it as a resellable product for on a windshield. Whereas the unique thing about this product is it's been designed from the ground up with the only intention is to be used on car windshields, and so it installs easier, and we've just had better luck with it, and the company itself has been great to deal with.
That's cool. So the idea behind, the concept behind this is, what's the windshield on this thing? $2,000, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you're probably looking at a couple $100s for this windshield, or I mean, a couple $1,000s for this windshield. And I mean, that's the interesting thing is there's a lot of vehicles out there where it's so expensive to replace that windshield that, and even once you do replace it, that immediately diminishes the value of your vehicle. Yeah,
you never get the same factory seal, right? I mean, they can do a decent job, but like on my previous GT3, I've always been in the camp that screw it, I'll just get a new one.
Yeah.
Get a new windshield. Problem is, I went and spent $200 and had it tinted, right? So I had the interior tinted. The other risk to any car is the water getting down in the dash, right?
Exactly.
And so I have to deal with that, and the radio controls go haywire for a couple of days. It freaks me out.
For sure.
And so I'm gonna have to make an appointment. I have to drive here. I come to have you do it. It's a whole long, drawn-out process. And so the reason why I was so interested when they were talking about this at the G-Technic Summit is to get rid of all of that pain, because in Florida it's a non-deductible, insurable expense.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the interesting thing is that you would think here it would be almost impossible to sell windshield protection film, because here you can replace your windshield with no questions asked. I mean, you pretty much just call any windshield replacement company, they come out and replace it, they bill the insurance company, and your insurance rates don't go up. But the thing is with exotic vehicles, with higher end vehicles where you want to maintain that resale value, and then there's other vehicles where you've got to be on a waiting list sometimes for a year to get a windshield, and that's why, I mean, we've got a couple Vipers over here right now that are also getting ExoShield. We're actually doing at least 2 or 3 Dodge Vipers this week because all of the 2nd generation Vipers, Dodge stopped making the windshields for those. So everybody who owns one right now, at least in this area, once they learned about ExoShield, has been calling us up saying, hey, we need protection on our windshields because I can't get a factory one anymore. And some of the windshield replacement companies that even have the aftermarket ones, you got to be on a waiting list for up to 12 months sometimes.
Yeah. So process, what I'm about to do here, because I'm one of those customers, right? I brought my own polishers. I like a lot of people, they're going to come in with some sort of window, whether it's Rain-X or some more advanced coating. We need to get that off the surface, or we need to get this as clean as possible. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compound that off, remove it. I'm going to then clean it with some Carpro Eraser, and then you guys are going to do your thing with making sure it's prepped and ready. And what we're going to talk through, we'll be talking through the install process, some of the do's and don'ts, some of the quirks of the install, some of the advantages and disadvantages of the film, and show you what the film is like and how it goes on. So Pete, and you're not going to do it, are you? Who's doing it?
I'm not going to do it. We'll have our lead installer here do it.
I like that, yeah. So we'll come back to you. I'm going to come back to you and start polishing, compounding this off, and then we'll start talking about the film and show you what it's all about. All right, so you would have thought I would come prepared, but I kind of did this on purpose so that we could do this together as a group. All right, so first thing actually I'm going to do is let me clean the surface here, because we did drive it the other day, but I want to get the surface prepped for ExoShield so we don't end up with any bonding issues. I have a Geon View on here, so we want to make sure we get that off. And really, one way to ensure we get it off, sure as much as we can be, is to compound it. So I'm going to use Jescar Correction Compound to go ahead and compound this off. So first step will be to tape it. And Pete's been cool enough to open up his house here to let me come in and disrupt it for a few hours today. But what I don't want to do is mess up my trim or the surrounding area. And I forgot my 3M tape. I brought everything except for the tape that I needed. So we're gonna use some painter's tape. Yeah, I was saying this place is right up my alley, man. It's clean, it's neat, it's organized. They have all the latest tools, all the best products. Crap, it's gonna make me screw up and put an audio system back in my RS. So, because I'm not really worried about any correction to the glass, I'm just gonna use Jescar Correction Compound on a McGuire's microfiber cutting pad. I'm gonna prime it up here, do the edges first. So unlike regular polishing, I'm not really worried about residue or tick marks or anything like that. I'm just worried about getting the product off the glass. All right, so we got the 5-inch Mark II. So I'm going to use eraser and clean off the polish. I'll do a couple of eraser applications here to make sure we get this nice and clean. I'll remove the tape. As soon as I get the first wipe done, we'll do a second wipe. Doesn't do us any good to compound off the coating if we're going to leave polish oils all over the windshield. So I'm going to soak it down pretty amply, and then they'll follow with their normal cleaning procedure, which we'll share here in a minute. All right, let's do one more, a double towel wipe down here, and then we can turn it over to the experts and I can stop playing around. So this is something, I'd advise you to do. If you're gonna go get something like this done and you put something on the windshield that they don't know what you put on here, so get that junk off so you can show up prepared for the professionals to then do their job. Most places aren't gonna let you come in the back. It's the fortunate circumstance I have now that I'm a YouTube guy, that I'm given the ability to come in the back here and do this. So this crap that I put on there, unless you have the right compound, it's not coming off. That's the whole point, So hopefully we got it off. All right, Scott's about to mess up the finish on my car here. He's gonna spray it down with all kinds of soap and stuff. So I'm gonna hand hold us, the rest of the way through here so we can get, good solid angles. So what's your take on when you have some goof with a camera showing up telling you what to do, right? Don't you love that? Every installer loves it when a customer comes in and asks them questions, right?
Customer Pete does it every day.
Okay. So you're used. See, these guys are used to. See, I always get comments on YouTube, people saying, well, that guy doesn't want you there. I say, well, yeah, but they let me, so we're gonna get the info. So this is baby shampoo or something?
Baby shampoo. And gonna get some Ivy soap. So I just put Ivy soap in a rag.
Uh-huh.
No rhyme or reason, just on there.
So this ExoShield, is it procedurally similar to tint? Like, do you have to shrink it and all that? I mean,
identical, except it's super thick. It's kind of like melting wood.
Do you find that it bonds, because it's on the exterior rather than the interior, is the glue or the adhesive more aggressive?
At first it's not. You kind of have to maintain, go back, mess with fingers. But once it's done and stuck, it's stuck. It ain't moving.
What about removal later? Have you removed any of it?
Steamer, real slow, real careful. It does tend to leave a lot of glue, but if you go real slow with the steamer, because I try to avoid razoring windows, but yeah, it takes a little while.
But it comes off, right?
Will, yeah.
So if it gets beat up or pelted by rocks and things like that,
switch it out for a new one.
Gotcha.
With little struggle. It takes a while to steam it off.
Right.
It really is thick.
But very doable, and won't damage your windshield or anything. Yeah.
Not at all.
So we were just talking about the viability of this product, right? If you have a Camry, why would you put it on it? For me, the reason why I'm doing this is that I end up in the mountains, and I end up having, I would have to do 3 windshields a year, because it would get destroyed. So this should alleviate that need. And we talked about earlier in the video, the removal of the windshield, it never goes back on exactly the same. The seal may or may not be as good. I mean, there are some really good windshield installers, and it's free in the state of Florida through your insurance to get, and a lot of other states to get a new windshield. But the question is, why would you waste your time doing this? I think it's a minimal cost for me to save the time of having to replace my windshield every time I go to the mountains, because I've literally cracked it 3 out of 3 the last 3 times. All right, so here's the actual product. So we're gonna make the boss do some work. This makes me feel good when I come somewhere and I make the boss do some work.
I don't normally do this, but we've got a special guest here from Obsessed Garage. So
yeah. See,
today
it makes me feel real important.
I've got to go and help stretch this film out.
So is there UV stuff in this? Do you know what's the?
It's 99.9% UV protection. So this will help protect your dashboard, help keep everything looking good for a long time.
So this may alleviate the need for you to tint the interior.
The only thing this doesn't have is the heat rejection. So
okay.
if you're looking to keep heat out, you still may want to put actual window film on the front of that. That would go on the inside. For example, on my car, I have window film on the inside and I have ExoShield on the outside, so I'm getting the best of both.
Well, that's the same thing we got here. So I've got the Suntech CTX 70, I think.
Okay.
Not CIR 70.
CIR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't there's not going to be any disadvantage to having both.
No, the only thing that I would say is if you had installed them in the opposite order, because if you put this on and then you went and put tint on the inside, it would take a little bit longer for that tint to cure because it's not getting any UV rays.
Okay.
But since you're doing it in this order, that's already cured on the inside, and now you're just going to have this curing on the outside.
What about this with like radar detectors and stuff? Do you think it's going to affect it?
According to Alchemy, the makers of ExoShield, they say that it doesn't have any effect on it whatsoever.
Okay. Well,
I mean, there's no metallization in it. It's not a metallized film.
Right.
That's typically the only time you would find where radar detectors or GPS antennas or cell phone signals can get affected is when it's a metallized film.
That makes sense. So even though I'm doubling it up here, my Unit NR3 should still roll, hopefully.
I haven't had any problems in my vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Oh my gosh. That is crazy thick.
Yeah,
Feels like
aluminum.
Yeah.
Chase to help with it? Up to you.
Pete, we talked a little bit about me jumping in my car and driving home. Right. So with your experience of installing this, what's the recommendation on you suggested that we leave the car overnight, and I said, I don't want to do that because I'm an hour and a half away, so I'm going to trailer it in an enclosed trailer home. Why do we have to worry about that?
So, I mean, there's a number of different things. I mean, the first one, of course, is we're in Florida, so we have no idea what the weather's going to do here. I mean, it might be beautiful right now, and then 10 minutes later, it might be raining. And so, after we apply this film, it's still curing, and this film cures extraordinarily slow. Window tint, usually within a few days, they say it's safe to roll your windows down, and everything's good. Usually within a week, your window film, if it's hot out, is pretty decently cured. This particular film, I've seen where 30 days later, it still has some moisture underneath it, because it has an extraordinarily long curing time. That being the case, every one of these that we typically install, we ask them to keep the vehicle here overnight so that we can, first of all, make sure that it's not going anywhere and it's not going to be outside exposed to the elements after we install it. The other thing too is, since it starts curing right after we put it on, we like to be able to watch it cure, because similar to paint protection film, during that curing process, certain things can happen. You can have little fingers that pop up. You could have little bubbles of liquid that pop up, and you want to be able to fix those before you deliver the car to the client. But in your case, since this is kind of a unique situation, you're going to get it right after it's been put on.
Oh, shoot. Now I'm second guessing my decision.
You might have to do some maintenance when you go home.
So we're gonna review with you some of the things that we typically do the next day, just to kind of make sure that everything stays.
So your recommendation is drop your car off.
Every single one that we've installed, we've asked that the vehicle stay for a day. So.
I'm just too darn important, man. I got too much stuff to do.
I need get you a squeegee and a towel.
Perfect. I got some skill.
Yeah, what you'll do is like little spots. You'll see it. It'll want to lift.
Yeah.
Just because of the slow cure of the glue. So you might have to go back on it and just kind of do that.
So driving home, the thing would lift,
It would
right?
be bad, yes.
Yeah. Unlike window tint that's in your car, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, there's no worries there.
So how do you cut? Do you cut right up to the edge, or do you come short?
There actually is a small space on these. To go completely to the edge would be, well, it could be detrimental to your car and your expensive rubbers. You could also accidentally hit the paint. So it's typical they leave just a little space all the way around, nice and clean. I do not cut on cars ever, especially ones with this price tag.
I like that.
So I actually take a wax pencil and I will draw the actual cut. Take it to the board, hand cut it over there. And then when I install it, there should be just that little bitty space right
Shit,
there.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
We should lay it right in.
Everybody cuts it on my car.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea.
I'm not cutting on your phone.
I like that.
Too many risks there.
That's what that computer's for right there.
Yeah.
So you're not putting knife to car.
So now, procedurally, you'll, just like tint, you've laid it out, you've rough cut around, you're going to shrink it, and then you'll do your final cut on the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right, this is slow shrinking, huh? Why don't they just make films that are pre-shrunk and just stick it on there? I guess it's to conform to the curvature, right, of the glass.
Exactly. Yep. Just needs to be able to curve.
So if you ever watch one of these guys do this, don't panic. You know, his little squeegee will scratch, but that's the backing.
Yeah,
this
is the backing, and this film does actually self-heal. It doesn't heal as fast as paint protection does, but over time, it will go away. But yeah, we're lying her out right now, so it don't matter.
I did that before. I didn't want to say anything, and the guy's doing my window tint, and I'm like, dang, it's scratching the crap out of it. And then I realized that the backing's on there. So if you overheat, you can have distortions and things like that?
If I overheat, it'll burn and instantly have to fill it in the package.
Yeah. How do you know? Just from experience of how long to hold it? And
years of staring at film.
Yeah.
There was a learning curve when I first did some of these, because you would never ever leave your heat gun that long on window tint.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a fine line. As soon as I see it start to relax, I stop with the heat.
All right, so you mark your edge, and then we take it. Then you take it over and cut it. That's cool. I've literally never seen that before. It is noticeably thicker, bulkier than any kind of window film I've ever seen.
Yeah. Big time.
So if they go to having prints or patterns, does that mean they just send it sized and then you pre-sized for shrinking?
Yeah, you can see on that software over there, it's actually showing every window on the car, every variation for that car. The big black part is actually the windshield,
right?
Internal. So.
But how does that? So the template just that knows what it's going to shrink, or close to it.
Yeah,
because it would have to be the pre-cut will be oversized, right? And you lay it out and shrink it.
It actually is perfect. You would think to make it too big. Some cars are really round and you want a little extra, but you just kind of learn those over time. But yeah, when the pattern's perfect, it heats perfect.
Gotcha.
So. Make sure we got nothing too crazy.
Right, so he trimmed a little bit off the bottom. Second test fit. So now I'm assuming what you'll prep the surface and
For a bath.
then it's yeah.
For a double bath.
Anything special? Same stuff, soap and
Yeah, soap, non-abrasive, abrasive, whatever that means. Just enough love without scratching the paint.
So we were talking about, in order to get a good solid bond and to make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff underneath it, you've got to go through this prep process to get the the glass ready to go. Yeah, so the compounding did its job to get the glass coating off, otherwise the soap would be bubbling up and beading.
That's one of the reasons why it's so important to do this inside a climate controlled facility. Like we have double air filtration that I put together in this, because there's so many people that try to do paint protection and window tint and things like that mobile, and the idea of trying to do something like that where you can't control the environment and you have dust and dirt and debris and things getting in between the film and the glass, with a product like this where you're staring out it all day long, you really can't have anything like that. So it's very important to do it in a place where you're controlling the entire environment.
And even then, there's still you have to prepare yourself, because I know a lot of my audience is just they're gonna get a microscope out, but you have to let that go on this kind of stuff.
I mean, there's no such thing as a flawless install. We get really close and get as close as we can, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be something if you're looking for it.
Yep. Yeah. So don't look. Don't look for it. Just accept it. Now, if it's bubbled up or crinkled or damaged, but
that's a different story.
We'll get it.
So how many days do you recommend, not washing the car? Like a week?
Depends on how the car is stored and treated. If it's sitting outside, 2 to 3 days is sufficient. If it's garage kept inside, a couple weeks is.
Yeah. I'm gonna let it sit.
When you do wash it, you got to be mindful of the edges for at least the first few times to make sure you wipe away from them and not.
But once it's dry, unless somebody goes and looks at an edge, that you never know it's on there. Just gotta let it sit. Just come over from. She looks beautiful.
It's now using a little heat on the fingers to
Just
get them to grab. So the procedure is going to be, which they would normally do for you. So I'd recommend dropping your car off for a couple of days, but procedurally I'm going to come and just, if I see anything, I just kind of take my finger or a towel and just push the edges down as it works its way through and cures. So all this little bubbly looking patina stuff that's what has to dry or cure, right?
This is actually soap.
Yeah.
With these little milky spots, it's soap and just.
Wow, that looks incredibly. You'd just scare the crap out of you if you didn't know what you were doing, because it looks all wonky. Which, of course, the curing, over time in the sun. So then, when you become an Alchemy customer, right, 2-year warranty on the product.
It comes with a standard 2-year warranty.
What does that mean? Like if it's defective or comes off the car, and I come back here and you guys
So the warranty pretty much covers anything failing with the film. Anything that wouldn't be caused by you or by somebody else. So if the film were to crack, if it were to peel, bubble, anything that the film shouldn't do, that's covered under their standard 2-year warranty.
And so then I would provide all my contact information, and that's what registers with Alchemy, so they know, if I called or if I moved away from here or something like that, they would, then honor the warranty elsewhere, right?
Exactly.
All right, so install took hour and a half or so, something like that?
Yeah, the main install took about an hour and a half. Even though we always tell people that we want to keep the car a lot longer than that, the install itself isn't the most time-consuming process.
It's the curing or the drying process over the next several weeks
exactly.
to gain the clarity that we're looking for. I know some people, when you first see this, you'd panic, right, if you didn't know, because all the water in the slip solution is still sitting under there.
Exactly.
It has to work its way out.
Yeah, I mean, you may go and get in your car right now and be like, man, this looks terrible. How can anybody drive like this?
Right.
But this film is unusually thick. It's not quite like window tint, and it's it's a very hard film. So it does take quite a bit of time to cure, and it takes even longer for all of that moisture to get out of it. And so as that moisture gets out over the coming weeks, on my personal vehicle, when we installed the ExoShield on it, I remember 30 days later still seeing a little bit of moisture in it. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it is a product that does cure very, very slowly. It probably could cure faster if you have a vehicle that stays outside a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But like you, mine was a garage kept vehicle that rarely spent much time in the sun. So it cured slowly, but I like to think that a lot of products, when they cure more slowly, they tend to come out a little bit better. Kind of like paint protection film.
Yeah.
Some people, they'll install paint protection film and immediately put it out in the sunlight to cure faster. But if you look at the quality of paint protection film that's cured slower, I'm more of a fan of installing the paint protection film and letting it sit inside as long as possible and letting it cure as slowly as possible for the best results in the end.
So and that's part of the reason why I brought the enclosed trailer, so I can throw it in the trailer, drive it home, let it sit there. I have some unique circumstances. I'm almost 2 hours away, so it's kind of hard for me to drive it all the way here, drop it off, drive it all the way back. So you're making an exception in my case. But if you had a local installer, then I would think you'd want to give it to them for 2 or 3 days to allow them to come back and follow up. So we talked about earlier when we registered, you have a 2-year warranty. There are also some other warranty options.
Yeah, so Alchemy, the manufacturer of it, they have some different extended warranty programs, glass protection warranty, because the regular warranty doesn't cover your glass. It covers their product against defects, the standard warranty that you would have when you buy a product. But even though this is going to make your glass 6 times stronger, anything could happen. I mean, there's still the possibility of something.
You could get hit by a chair flying off the back of a semi.
Anything.
Or something.
You just never know. And so in those instances, they do offer a glass protection warranty that starts at $100. The $100 of coverage gets you $750 of new windshield.
So in a car like this with a $1,800, you then have, like if you had a Bugatti, they have more expensive
it maxes,
coverages.
I mean, for example, I know that their top tier, which is $5,000 worth of coverage, is usually around the neighborhood of about $450.
So what is this? So what we did today, excluding the warranty, with the standard 2-year warranty, what does it cost me to do this?
So just to go and install the film and not do any extra add-ons or anything like that, just what we did just now, you're looking at, on average, around $400 for most vehicles. There are exceptions to that. There are some vehicles that have very curved windshields that just take a lot more time of shrinking it to get it just right. But on average, on a car with a fairly normal windshield like this, you're looking at around $400.
So what about things that are coming to my mind? What about like windshield wipers? Have you experienced judder or them getting hung up? Is there anything unique that I'd need to know about that?
I mean, I haven't noticed anything where the wipers are doing anything out of the ordinary. You can still coat it with Rain-X or any other type of product that you would normally put on your windshield. The only thing that I would say is that because this is more of a plastic type material than glass, it is more susceptible to being scratched. So if your wiper blades have dirt and different things in them that you don't want to scratch it, we do recommend replacing the wiper blades probably every few months, or just being really careful and inspecting them. And in fact, the company Alchemy, who manufactures the product, they offer a wiper blade replacement program for $69 a year, where they'll just mail you new blades every 3 months, and you can put them on, or you could stop by a facility such as ours and we'll just put them on real quick for you if we've installed the product for you.
Anything else we need to know about this? I mean, I'm gonna, normally you guys would monitor the edges and just kind of push them down. You recommend, should I take this home and put it out in the sun for a day or so?
Yeah, it probably couldn't hurt. I mean, just to give it a little bit of UV light, it definitely couldn't hurt it, because like I said, my car that was completely kept in the garage for about 30 days following the installation of it, it took a long time to get all the moisture out. So to accelerate it a little bit, it probably couldn't hurt to give it a little bit of light, but it's not necessary. It's just a matter as to how fast it can cure. And in most situations, when we have a vehicle that someone has left us for 2 to 3 days, we can take care of all the things, like any little things that might pop up, any little fingers that tend to rise up over 24 to 48 hours. We fix those before we deliver the vehicle to the client. But in your instance, we kind of showed you what to look out for, so those are things that you can most likely take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's been my experience that if it's easy, it's not worth it. You talked about earlier with the paint protection film, and if it's easy, and then it probably isn't going to protect as well, or isn't going to be as good. And so this professional grade product requires some professional grade skill to install, and then it takes a little time to cure. But I'm confident I can already see it. I can see the clarity in it. It looks, it's hard to explain, but there's like just a little change in how the windshield looks, but I can tell this isn't really going to affect me at night. Should be a non-event. And then when I'm riding in the mountains getting pelted, it'll allow me to maybe once every 2 years peel it off and redo it, and avoid those big spider cracks that I always end up with, where it starts small and then runs the whole way down the side of the car. So anyway, thanks for inviting me out here, brother. I appreciate you guys doing this. Really. This place is awesome. I have a feeling I'm going to be spending a bunch of money now. Maybe I can get some get some sponsorships on some products, but
maybe we can work something out. We definitely appreciate you coming out here.
So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this is helpful. I know this is a unique and new product. There's been some other competitors in the past, and there are some still today that make this. I think this is a game changer type. It's the first one I've considered doing, and so I'll be sure to update you as I have more experience with the product. I'm sure I'll make a video coding it, and then dealing with wiper blades and things like that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more crazy. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.